you have anything from, things you see on Cartoon Network to Disney, but also Disney Fantasia, and I don't know, definitely a very wide range of animation styles.
Mhm.
Um, so that being said, and you said that, the misconceptions about turnaround time, as far as COVID's related, how has that affected your motivation to create? And if so, what has inspired you to keep creating this whole time?
I feel definitely in the beginning with the whole lockdown and COVID, it was super hard to start working. Um, I'm on a leave of absence currently, but I was still in school when the whole shutdown happened, and oh, I could barely work, and I had a film that I was supposed to finish, and I couldn't do it because I just had no like energy or motivation to push through. And I feel like it's been getting better um, since like school has ended, and I'd have more time to myself and to think. And it's a lot of reflecting and like what I want to create and what I like. And I feel like just having some people to talk to, like some friends, um, and being able to do like little projects such as like my sheep film with my friend. She's actually my roommate, and so we made that, and we were like, we just want to make something short, something sweet, and something that's like wholesome and happy to like kind of lift our own spirits and lift others.
No, that's awesome. And personally, again, like I, I think we all can speak on like find going through a phase when we're feeling unmotivated, whether it's for just our job in general or just like getting cleaning your house or just doing something, going outside, losing that spark to just like keep going. um,
Mm-hmm.
and well, I live in upstate New York, which it's very gray most of the year, and cold. So I feel like at least when COVID isn't a thing, I then force myself to like go travel, go out, go like leave town and go see a friend in another state, hopefully warm. Um,
Definitely.
so right, so not having that this past year definitely has been it's been a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but you're in California, so hold up. You're like, don't you have like
I'm
lots
currently
of
in NorCal though, and it's cloudy most of the days.
is it?
Sadly, yeah.
Oh,
Recently, it has been.
okay,
So
I'm
it's
taking
like,
notes.
oh.
Finding the perfect place to live. Okay, so uh, with your animation, what kind of stories do you want to tell, and what kind of impact do you want them to have on
Hmm.
others?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel the stories that I really like are kind of stories about mundane things. I like to kind of appreciate and what's it called? Like appreciate like everyday life and how like not to take things for granted that you have. And I'm a very big reminiscent person, so I like to make stories about when I was like in middle school or like high school and see like what have I learned now, and like just see how I've changed and what I really enjoyed back then. And I also just love seeing like relationships between people, and I want to like try and emulate that in my work and show different kinds of very true feelings. And something that I really enjoy, this is kind of not exactly my work, but it's I really love the movie Before Sunrise and Sunset, like that trilogy, and just how they capture like talk like conversation and relationships. I love that in that work, and that's something I would love to do.
Sorry, I did not mean to geek out about that. I'm also like a francophile, so like anything that has like some French in it, I'm there. I really love that. Like the whole like just everyday mundane um thing. I don't know if you guys have seen like Soul yet, the new,
Mm,
but I
yeah.
really loved like it really like just about like the purpose is just living your life. So I really, and I think during a lot of this, especially during COVID, like a lot of people have taken that for granted. I just like Amanda, I've been looking at schools and jobs in California because I'm stuck in my little Brooklyn apartment and need some outing. But you were mentioning like how you get to collaborate with your roommate and your friends, and you get to share these like similar stories. Do you find that you've like kind of created a community with that, and how do you get engaged with your community yourself, or even your heritage?
Mm. I feel in my school, I don't know how it is with other schools, but in my school, especially in my class, we are very tight and we love to do things together and try and do activities. And me and two of my other friends, we made a podcast to talk to other artists and see like their point of view and like how they approach art making. And it's been a very like eye-opening experience to see how everyone is, because I don't talk to everybody in our school. So it's I don't know how they do everything. So it's like very cool to see how everyone does things.
Do you want to give a little plug for your podcast?
Sure. It's called the Onion Skins podcast, and you can find it on Spotify.
May I ask, what kind of like issues or stuff do you guys talk about like on your podcast?
Our host Peter, he talks about a lot of like life things, or like how finding jobs is very hard, like kind of everyday things that we don't really talk about publicly, but we talk about in person and like one-on-one conversations. So I really appreciate that they have conversations about that like recorded, and I can just go back and be like, I'm not alone in this, other people feel the same.
Before your bonus question, why is it called onion skins?
It's because of animation and how turning on multiple layers, it's called onion skins or onion skinning.
I knew that. I just wanted to say that.
Like Shrek.
I know. Another way of
Have
thinking is
layers.
Shrek. Animation that way.
Animation has layers, cake has layers, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, Anya, bonus question. So at, first glance, your Instagram appears to have several different styles of illustration. Can you speak to your thought processes behind each avenue that you take with that?
I feel my art is very heavily influenced by how I feel. So I have art that I maybe because like when I feel very sad or like anxious, I like to express that way because I feel like it's an outlet for me. Or like I like to create very happy and round, wholesome art because that's what I want to put out in the world. Or I'd want to put like heartfelt and intimate art because that's how I feel in that moment. And I like it when other people can connect to it and can relate. And it's just a very gratifying process to see that happen as well. But yeah, I that's usually my thought process. It's just like how I feel, I put it out there.
And this is kind of off the cuff here, but like you are still in like your the beginning stages of your career. Where do you see yourself going? Where do you want to go?
Ooh. Oh man. I feel like I'm kind of I'm just like living it out or like feeling it through currently cuz I love illustration. That's kind of what got me into art in the first place. Like art or illustration and comics are what made me want to pursue art. And then suddenly animation came and I was like, "Oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now." And I really love storytelling, and I'm currently on that storytelling path of like being a board artist and such, but I would love to try out different things, like maybe publish a book sometime or try out illustration and just kind of explore, travel, and live life.
Awesome. Well, do you have any questions for us?
um, I don't know. I guess like how have you guys been enjoying this whole like interviewing process with people, and like how's it been with Feel the Movement?
Yeah. So as we mentioned before, Jill is this is her first interview, but obviously she had a very qualified resume. But
I don't know about
actually,
that.
and my sister and I are both passionate with social justice and just also like getting to know other people, and maybe asking questions that we would normally get to ask people, that we might, we might want to like start a conversation with somebody random, but I think that comes off as creepy sometimes, like, whereas like this kind of more formal way of doing things, we can get into the more of like the getting to know someone, and also getting their perspective on things, where you might not be able to just outwardly share that.
Like I've already gotten to meet so many people that I might normally just not ever have a conversation with.
Yeah.
Different careers, different backgrounds. And I know COVID has obviously been really tough on people, but Zoom was kind of a godsend in that way, because before it might be weird, be like, hey, can you hop on this Zoom call? And now everyone's just has it,
Second nature now.
Really, yeah. So, and yeah, but Anya, Nicole, when Nicole found you and you accepted, we were just like so excited, because again, like, I know that it can be like this kind of process. You're opening up to strangers and you're sharing. I don't know what your thoughts were when you're like, okay, I'm meeting with these people I don't know.
Random DM.
Right, like, sure. You can, you probably maybe saw our faces on the website, but otherwise you don't know us. So we really just appreciate you just like taking the time out of your day to do this with us, and yeah, sharing your story, sharing your art, and everything else. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's honestly very inspiring. I mean, I was just saying earlier how I'm having a really difficult time finding motivation as well. So it's amazing when you're being able to like do art like for yourself, and that's like, and that's relatable to other people, like just like the everyday thing. Again, I think we take it for granted. So the fact that that's your style and that's what your storytelling is, like, that's just, I mean, I think it's pretty inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
I also can't draw like a circle, so
That's fine. Everyone has their own way of expressing themselves.
Right. I can't draw a circle either. But yeah, so thank you. And last question, just because I'm just curious to know, do you have like a favorite artist or illustrator that you're like, you follow, you're obsessed with, somebody who or
Oh man,
I know.
I feel it's such a big, like, oh, there's so many people.
I know.
I have a list on Instagram of like all the different artists that I like in my story thing. What is that thing called on that bottom bar?
What is it? It's
like archive story thing.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called.
like the pinned ones?
Yeah,
the pinned ones.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh, there's so many people that I love.
They're highlights.
Oh yeah, the highlights.
Yeah, we're really bad millennials.
There's like that thing over there.
Technology.
Okay, well, we will definitely, we'd love to share your social media, like at least, for people who want to follow your art and check it out.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll probably be tagging you in some posts, and something that, again, to help share your story and other stories, we just ask that, if you wouldn't mind just like, sharing the interview, or, just any promos for your interview. I know it can be like, you're putting yourself on the spot, like, hey, check me out and hear me talk. But but it helps spread the word for yourself and for other creatives maybe too. And yeah, so please share.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Well, Anya, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
As far as the promos and everything, we'll keep in touch when we're about to post them and such, and let you know when all of that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Anya.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out.
No problem. All right.
Nice meeting you from New York.
Yeah. Send us some sun.
Yeah. Bringing it in.
I'll catch you.
All right. Ladies, if you could stay on and we'll chat quick. But
okay.
all right.
Thanks,
Bye.
Anya. Bye.